Welcome back. Over the past 4 lectures, we have established the problem: trust gaps between buyers and sellers who have never met, timing gaps between shipment and payment, documents that represent goods, money, and legal title all at once. Now it is time to meet the solutions. Trade finance is not one product. It is a family of products, each designed to solve a specific version of the same fundamental problem. This lecture is your map. We will not go deep on any single instrument. That is what the rest of this course is for. But by the end of this lecture, you will know what every major trade finance product does, why it exists, and how they all connect. Before we go through each product, here is a framework to hold in your mind. Every trade finance product can be understood through 2 questions. First, what risk is it solving? Is it a trust problem, a timing problem, or a performance risk problem? Second, what is the bank's role? Is the bank acting as a guarantor, a lender, or a financier of receivables? Keep these 2 questions in mind as we go through each category. The first category solves the trust problem, the fundamental deadlock between a buyer who will not pay until they receive goods and a seller who will not ship until they receive payment. The letter of credit is the centerpiece of this category. When a bank issues a letter of credit, it makes an undertaking. If the seller presents documents that strictly comply with the LC terms, the bank will pay. The seller no longer needs to trust the buyer. The buyer no longer needs to trust the seller. Both trust the bank. That substitution of bank credit for counterparty credit is the entire point of the LC. It is governed by UCP 600, the rule book that applies to the vast majority of documentary credit transactions globally. We dedicate the whole of Module 2 to it. The documentary collection is a simpler, cheaper alternative. Here the bank acts as an intermediary. It passes documents from the seller to the buyer, but it does not guarantee payment. Under documents against payment, or D/P, the buyer pays first and then receives the documents to collect the goods. Under documents against acceptance, or D/A, the buyer accepts a draft, a promise to pay at a future date, and receives the documents in exchange. The critical difference from an LC: if the buyer refuses to pay or accept, the bank has no obligation to step in. The seller is exposed. Documentary collections are used where the parties have an established relationship and a degree of existing trust. The second category does not solve a payment problem, it solves a performance problem. A bank guarantee is the bank's undertaking to pay a beneficiary if the applicant fails to fulfill a contractual obligation. Nobody expects it to be drawn. It is a safety net, comfort to the beneficiary that if something goes wrong, the bank will cover the loss. Tender bonds, performance bonds, advance payment guarantees, these are all bank guarantees, each protecting against a different type of failure. They are governed by URDG 758, and we cover them in depth in Module 3. The standby letter of credit functions in the same way, a contingent payment undertaking that is only called upon if the applicant defaults. It is structured like an LC but used like a guarantee. It is the preferred instrument in the US market, where banks have historically faced regulatory restrictions on issuing guarantees directly. Outside the US, you will see both BG and SBLC used depending on the jurisdiction and the counterparty's preference. Now, it is worth pausing here to clarify a distinction that trips up a lot of new joiners. An LC is a primary payment instrument. It is the intended mechanism for settlement. The exporter ships, presents documents, and expects to be paid through the LC. That is the normal course of business. A bank guarantee, or SBLC, is a contingent instrument. It is the fallback. No one expects it to be drawn. If a BG or SBLC is called, it means the applicant has defaulted on an underlying obligation. That is a different event entirely. And between the BG and the SBLC themselves, the function is nearly identical, but the form differs. BGs are governed by URDG 758, SBLCs, typically by ISP 98 or UCP 600. BGs dominate in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. SBLCs are the US standard. The BG is a standalone guarantee document. The SBLC is dressed like an LC. From a credit risk perspective, both represent contingent payment obligations of the bank. The difference is largely legal form and governing rules. The third category solves the timing problem. The goods have shipped or are about to ship, but someone needs cash before the payment cycle completes. On the import side, the bank lends to the importer, but the structure depends on whether the trade is documentary or open account. Under LC terms, the instrument is the import loan or trust receipt loan. The bank has already paid the seller under the LC. The importer now owes the bank. Under a trust receipt arrangement, the bank releases the shipping documents to the importer, who technically holds the goods on trust for the bank, allowing them to receive and on-sell the cargo before repaying the financing. Under open account terms, where no LC is involved, the instrument is import invoice finance. Here, the bank finances the importer's payables directly against supplier invoices. There is no documentary control. The bank is lending on the strength of the trade relationship and the importer's credit, a cleaner structure but less security for the bank. On the export side, the bank lends to the exporter. Export invoice loans advance cash against outstanding receivables. LC discounting. Once the issuing bank has accepted the draft, the exporter's bank can discount that accepted obligation and advance cash to the exporter immediately. At this point, the discounting bank is no longer taking exporter risk. It is taking issuing bank risk. The issuing bank has made an irrevocable payment undertaking. The exporter's bank is simply financing against that undertaking at a discount. At maturity, the issuing bank pays the discounting bank directly. The fourth category extends the timing solution across the entire supply chain, not just one buyer and one seller, but entire networks of suppliers. Factoring is where the exporter sells its receivables to a bank or specialist factor at a discount, receiving immediate cash rather than waiting for the buyer to pay. The factor then collects from the buyer at maturity. The key question is whether the arrangement is recourse or non-recourse, that is, who bears the loss if the buyer does not pay. Reverse factoring flips the model. Here, it is the buyer who initiates the program. The buyer's bank offers the buyer's approved suppliers the option to receive early payment at a rate anchored to the buyer's credit, which is typically much stronger than the supplier's own credit. The supplier gets cheaper financing. The buyer keeps their extended payment terms. The bank earns a spread. Everyone wins, at least in theory. We will also look at how large corporates like BYD and Xiaomi are building their own supply chain finance platforms to internalize this function. Dynamic discounting removes the bank from the equation entirely. The buyer uses its own surplus cash to pay suppliers early in exchange for a discount. No external financing involved. A useful tool for cash-rich buyers who want a return on idle liquidity. Here is a mental model worth keeping, from most bank-controlled to least. LC, then BG and SBLC, then documentary collections, then trade loans, then supply chain finance. From most fee-driven to most spread-driven. Guarantees and LCs earn fee income, trade loans and SCF earn interest and spread. And from most appropriate for unknown counterparties to most appropriate for established relationships. Start with an LC for a new supplier you have never dealt with. Move toward open account and SCF as trust builds over time. Trade finance products are not a random collection of instruments. They are a systematic response to specific problems in the trade cycle. LCs and documentary collections solve trust. Guarantees and SBLCs solve performance risk. Trade loans solve timing. Supply chain finance solves working capital across the chain. That is Module 1 complete. You now have the foundations: why trade finance exists, how trade flows, what documents it runs on, and the full product map. From the next lecture, we go deep. We start where most trade finance careers start, the letter of credit.